All right, we are live. What's good? Welcome to the Green of Thrones. I'm your host, Go Gadget Green, and y'all know what we're here to do today. We're here to talk NBA pre-draft speculation, free agency, trades, uh, opinions, facts, and everything in between. So that's what we're gonna do today. So if you see me, for the people that watch this on YouTube, you see me turning my head often. I am talking to all my peoples on Facebook in the Green of Thrones Facebook group where this all started at. So shout out to everybody that's here with me right now. We got a couple of people here with us ready to talk that talk. I know everybody's excited. The NBA finals end and then you I remember years ago the NBA offseason was actually an offseason and you had to wait forever. It seemed like forever for things to come back around. Now the NBA finals end and 2 weeks after the finals, you're talking free agency. You got big blockbuster trades or at least trades in principle because they can't be agreed to until I think June 30th. So yeah, it's a fun time for everybody. For everybody, we got a nice little crew together tonight. So for those that just this is your first time here, if this is your first time joining us, thank you. What I usually do is I engage my Facebook group, and we are live on YouTube. So anybody that is not a member that is here on the Facebook group, go to Go Gadget Green. That is Go Gadget Green, one word on YouTube, and please subscribe. See a bunch of my hobbies and stuff that I'm into, but sports. So let's get right to it. We're gonna start with New York first. Feel free to jump in, y'all. Chris, what's going on? Feel free to jump in, y'all. Anything y'all want to talk about? But we're gonna start with the Knicks first, as I said about 3 or 4 times already. So in I'm gonna just dramatize this all the way right now. In a rare move for the New York Knicks. I mean, in the last 2 days, Scott Perry has done exactly what I've hoped he's done, the right thing. He rebuffed Atlanta, trying to come up into the third spot with the number 8 and the number 10 pick. Nah, we didn't want no part of that. We didn't want no part of that. We got that up out of here. Then today, Houston calls us, and any of y'all that been watching the Knicks for years, Houston has gotten us a couple times. They like to deal with us. I think you go back to Steve Francis days. Did we get Steve Francis from Houston? But anyway, that's another point, another conversation for another day. Um, they tried to get our cap space. They tried to come for our cap space, family. Come on, man. But you know what my man Scott Perry did? He wasn't hearing none of that. None. No thanks. We don't want Chris Paul at 34 years old with $100 million on his contract. 100 million plus. No, thank you. So I know they're not major moves, but this is cause for celebration. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but anybody that's a Knick fan, or if you just became a Knick fan, you should be happy today. Not because Kevin Durant's Achilles is healed, not because you have a shot at Kyrie Irving, not because you're happy Kawhi Leonard might talk to the Knicks. Man, forget all that. The Knicks front office didn't ruin things before they get started. That happened today. So I'm extremely happy about that. But anybody got anything to say about that? Let's see. David Garcia, what up, homie? He said, thank God. Said hell no to that trade. Knick fans is like, thank God. Krishna, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, Zeus. They are thanking God that the Knicks didn't make this trade. Chris was good. All right. So let's talk. Akatoon Day, what's good, my brother? He said, my man Scott Perry, word. My man. That's right, Ak. My man, your host, Go Gadget Green, Go Green, said, my man Scott Perry. Because until he does otherwise, that's my man right there. Silas Parker said, do you think we're really considering Garland? So, for those that don't know, I'm sure everybody does know though. The Knicks decided to work out Darius Garland from Vanderbilt, I believe. Now, a brief background: Garland tore his meniscus, knee injury, if I'm not mistaken, 4 games into the college season, and he has no tape. He hasn't played since. He's a small school type. You know, if you want to project his ceiling, maybe you say Damian Lillard. Shout out Akatunde in that conversation we had. Devano was good, Cuzzo. Um, so yeah, so this is what you are projecting this kid to be if he's not a bust, right? But you have to go to his AAU tapes to see what he's capable of. Four games in Vanderbilt is not going to do it. So to Silas's question, he said, "Do you think we're really considering Garland?" I think it's if back to Scott Perry, if this kid has the potential to be, a Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving type. What Kyrie played about 10 games in college at Duke before he got shut down. So, and then ends up being a top point guard in the NBA. So I think you have to do your due diligence when you're a team like the Knicks and you're as bad as the Knicks have been historically and just this past season with 65 losses and only 17 wins. I think you have to do your due diligence. So, in my opinion, no, I don't think the Knicks were seriously drafting Garland. I posted in the group that he would have had to have the most amazing workout ever, ever. And it's not like there's other players in these workouts. So, when you're saying a great workout, what are you saying? Like, did he miss no shots? Did he, what kind of drills could they have put him through for them to say this kid is better than RJ Barrett, who is more and more looking like our pick, especially after the Memphis Grizzlies have traded Mike Conley to the Utah Jazz. So to me, it looks like they've opened up their point guard slot for Ja Morant, which leaves Barrett there for the Knicks. If y'all have been following me, you know all along I'm a fan of Barrett. I don't think you can leave him on the board in no situation. So no, I would not take Garland over Barrett. Yeah. And I just think the Knicks are just doing their due diligence. See how that worked out for Michael Porter. Yeah, I hear you. I'm not a fan of drafting hurt guys high in the draft. Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Now, Michael Porter's situation is a little different because, Michael Porter was gonna sit out. Everybody knew he was gonna sit out. Julius Garland's playing. He'll be in summer league. He'll be playing this year. But I'm with you. I get the premise. I'm not with drafting hurt guys. That would be a great segue into the KD conversation. But we're gonna hold off on that. We got about 10, 11 days to talk free agency. So I'm gonna try to keep it to the draft, but I know it's gonna be almost impossible to not talk free agency. Yo, hey, what up? What up? What up? Glador got somebody here with me live on YouTube. So, I appreciate that. So yeah, RJ Barrett, there was an article and posted in the Green of Thrones group. He was interviewed with Forbes magazine. And the more I hear this kid talk, he should be a Nick. 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 Um, he talked about his grandfather, who was a huge Knicks fan, that passed away. And but obviously before he passed away, he told RJ, "You're gonna play for the Knicks one day." So RJ is like, "I would love to play for the Knicks just off the strength of making my grandfather's prediction come true." His mother is from New York. His father went to St. John's, so he's familiar with the area. He wants it. He's talking about the billboards in Times Square and living up to it. Not just the fame and in the market, but really living up to it. He was quoted the other day as saying, "It doesn't matter if you don't believe in me. I'm gonna make you believe in me." And I know that's not an exact quote. I'm paraphrasing, but I just love the sentiment. I love how he sounds, and I'm high on him, so I'm a little biased there. Let's get back to the board here. What we talking about? Michael Porter Jr. is nice, Akatunde. Embiid is another one, right? Yeah. So Embiid is another one, and Embiid is a beast. Embiid is a beast. We still watching that injury though. So no matter how good Embiid is, you still had to be concerned with his injury during the playoffs. So yes, you got to be careful drafting when you, especially with a high pick, top 3 pick. That's tough that'd be tough for the Knicks to do. That'd be really tough for the Knicks to do. Um, so there was some speculation that Silas said, I suddenly really like this kid. Yo, I mean, read all the articles. Every time he talks, it just sounds smart. And when some of the things Coach K is going to sell high on his players. He's going to value them really high and talk positive about them. But, even him talking about how there was no jealousy between Barrett and Zion, because Barrett was the consensus college player of the year going into the NCAA season. So to end the season, your teammate is now that guy. There could have been disdain there. There could have been jealousy, pure hatred. But the 18-year-olds banded together. And this kid is 18 years old. I'm watching people put post up about RJ Barrett in different groups. I'm all over the place on the internet. And they're like, oh, he's a chucker. He can only go left. He shot 30% from 3-point range in college. He shot 66% from the free throw line. Yo, he was also one of only 3 NCAA players in college history, in NCAA history, to score 850 points or more. He was the only player in NCAA history to hit a certain amount of points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. Look it up for yourself. I'm not going to get into the specifics. So if we can point out what he didn't do so well at 18 years old in Duke against the top competition in college, as good as Ja Morant is, and Ja Morant is a monster. Ja Morant cannot say night in, night out he played against the top competition. Matter of fact, there's a lot of players in a lot of divisions in college that cannot say they did that, but not RJ Barrett. So I think to point out he's not a good shooter, free throw shooter, I think these are things guys can work on. Now, only going left, that's pretty good. I think he can work on his right. What y'all think? You know, I think it's important that the Knicks stand pat. Mr. Live, I don't know if he's here with us. He put up a post the other day. He said, no, he put up a post earlier today in another group, and he said, if it's not Kawhi Leonard, you don't max anybody. I agree with that. Now, every max contract is not created equally. What I mean by that is if you have a certain tenure in the NBA, KD's max contract is about 164 million. A max contract for a guy like D'Angelo Russell or John Randall, I'm not saying I want to max these guys. I'm just saying their max is not going to be as high. I don't know the numbers specifically, but because of their tenure, because they're still young players, their max is not going to be as high as Kevin Durant's max or Kemba Walker's max. So it would be nice to see the Knicks stand pat, go with the youth movement at this point. With that said, let's speculate a little bit. There are some things the Knicks could do if some other teams are willing to improve their roster. I don't want Chris Middleton. I know I have I know my man Akatunde is up here, and he's a big a true Milwaukee fan, not a new Milwaukee fan, but a true Milwaukee fan. And he feels a way about Chris Middleton and some of these guys, how they underperformed in the playoffs. And he keeps every chance he gets. He tells me, please let the Knicks max out Chris Middleton. See, that would be a typical Knicks move. I'm not maxing out Chris Middleton. I'm not maxing out Tobias Harris. I'm not maxing out Jimmy Butler because I don't have a compliment for him. I would have had no problem maxing out Jimmy Butler if he was going to play with KD or Kawhi Leonard or be in the backcourt with Kyrie or something crazy like that. Like, yeah, I would have been okay with that type of move for Jimmy Butler. But it seems like decisions are being made for the Knicks because everything is happening. Now, let's talk KD. I've been adamantly against signing KD after he's ruptured his Achilles. It seems like I am part of a minority group. I am not part of a the majority. The majority is like, you sign him. You sign him, you see what you got, and you trot him out there next season. Yo, I love the faith in KD. KD is great and good, and but when you're so dynamic, it's hard to come back from that kind of injury. But before we continue on KD, I got some no, the draft is not tonight. The Brian was good. I got some of my people on YouTube checking me out here. So that's cool. The draft is not tonight. The draft is tomorrow night. Tune in 7 p.m. I believe on ESPN. Or you can follow Waj on Twitter, and they're gonna be telling you who the picks are ahead of the television program. So if you can't make it on TV, follow Wojnarowski on Twitter, Adrian Wojnarowski on Twitter, and you can get all the picks as they come out, or follow anybody on Twitter, and you'll get the picks as they come out. Who do I think? What do I think of Zion? Well, that's an easy one. Zion's a beast. Zion's a stud. Zion Maiden is not the most complete basketball player coming out of this draft, but he is the most special basketball player coming out of this draft. Do you think there will be players like Zion? Who you think about those who are not in the top five? So yeah, we definitely will do some talking outside of the top five. We definitely will do that. But I just want to talk to this KD thing briefly. So HBK Fargo says KD to Brooklyn. Brooklyn has to renounce some players in order to free up the max slots. And if you sign KD to a max, do you sign him and just keep your team together and just sign and then re-sign D'Angelo Russell and then bring KD next year? I don't think KD wants Brooklyn. But just for the sake, this is speculation, and everybody gets to have an opinion tonight. I'm willing to talk through any opinion, whether I agree with it or not. So I I I would say that if KD signed with Brooklyn, it would make sense for Brooklyn to not to renounce D'Angelo Russell, keep D'Angelo Russell, keep everybody else, and let KD rehab. Keep your team together. You were a playoff team last year. Why blow it up when you're gonna have KD coming back net in the 2020 season to take you to the next level? Would be the thinking there. So if KD went to Brooklyn and I'm the Brooklyn Nets, what's his name, Sean Marks, I would not blow up the roster. I would re-sign D'Angelo Russell, bring the playoff team back, hopefully make some noise in the playoffs, knowing KD is coming back next season. Silas says, I'm with you. He says he's with me. He would not sign a player after an injury, especially an injury of that magnitude. I got a question for y'all. If KD was the same age as Anthony Davis, 26, 27 years old, would you risk it then? I wonder what you think. I wonder there. Yeah, Glador, and excuse me, Glador, if I'm not saying the name correctly. My apologies, but I do not think Glador agrees with me. I don't think KD is going to Brooklyn either. Mr. Live says KD is a 32-year-old player, fresh off of a major Achilles surgery, 2-year recovery. Leave that alone. He says he's 32, meaning whatever team he plays for, he will be 32 when he makes his return, coming off a major injury. I agree. I don't think it's just a 12-month recovery. It's 12 months before you can resume basketball activities. It's 12 months before you pick up a basketball. Then it's another, in my opinion, and Mr. Live, I agree with you. It is another 12 months to become an elite player again. And when you're as dynamic as Kevin Durant, I don't know why the expectation would be that he would make a full recovery. If I'm the Knicks, I cannot do that. I got another situation for you. So I asked if he was 26 in the same situation, would you sign him? But I got another one for you. What if KD works with you? What if KD says, yo, we can get some other players here. I'm willing to be flexible in the salary. I don't know what flexible means. All right. Don't get me to lying. I'm not gonna act like I'm a master of the salary cap and understand the contracts and the rules on what they can and cannot do. But I'm just speculating here, having some fun and Green of Thrones sports talk, right? Let's say KD wants the Knicks, but wants to offer them some financial flexibility to build a team that gets a year better, and then he's coming next year. Would you sign him to a 4-year deal or a 2-year deal in that situation? Would you, touch some of your salary cap money because maybe he really wants New York? I don't know the logic behind this. So this is not about being logical, y'all. This is pure speculation. Have some fun tonight. Throw it out there on the table and let's talk about it. As a Knicks fan, if I'm in the front office talking to my man Scott Perry, Akatunde, my man Scott Perry, um, yeah, I do that. KD wants to sign a 2-3 year deal, a little less money. Allow the Knicks some flexibility to do some other things, to have him ready, to have the team ready when he comes back. I want to know what y'all think about that. Let's see what we got here. KD turns 31 this September. Collis said that recovery time is going to take forever. I agree. He said if he wants the veteran minimum, I'm with it. Oh, if he wants the veteran minimum, I'll sign him and his mother. His mother could get a seat on the bench for the veteran minimum. So yeah, man. So we've been talking Knicks for about 21 minutes now. So if y'all got anything else on the Knicks, I'm cool with the youth movement. Tomorrow should be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, let's see what happens. Dennis Smith Jr. is looking like he's gonna get a shot to prove himself. I hope he does. I know people are like, if Ja Morant is there, you go get him. There's other point guards. People like, you can get them, you get them. But it seems like, my point of saying this is, and then we can move on to another topic. It seems like people are okay with moving on from Dennis Smith Jr. without considering the value you have in him as a player, as in his skill set and in his contract with 2 years left on his rookie deal. I don't think he's really scratched the surface on how good he can be. I know his basketball IQ doesn't seem to be great. I know he's not a great shooter, but I know he can break down the defense off the dribble. I know he can work on that shot. I know he can get to the rack against any type of pressure. And I know he got crazy bunnies just like any other crazy athlete. So I just would love to see him come in the summer in shape and get a chance to run the team before he's run out of town. But we'll see what happens there. Mr. Live, McDice, Allen Houston, James, Jeffries, Amari. Our history sucks paying injured players. I agree. I agree. Knicks are good for being the pacifier for the league. I say give the kid a shot. We talking about Dennis Smith Jr., right? Perry has to give Dennis. Mr. Live says Perry has to give Dennis Smith Jr. at least another whole season to run an offense. Got to see what he got. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Now, if Ja Morant fell to the Knicks at 3, shoot, I'd still run him out there. Now, the Knicks have a glut of guards. Kadeem Allen, Dennis Smith Jr., Dotson, Alonzo Trier, and Frank Ntilikina, who most of us probably believe will get traded by tomorrow. But the Knicks have 5 guards. And that's why I'm like, drafting Morant, it feels redundant, but I understand the talent, so you have to do it. And Dennis Smith Jr., at his size and weight, at his height and weight, he could probably move to an off guard spot if he could develop the outside shot and move well without the ball. But we'll see what happens there. We all in agreement, y'all. I'm glad y'all with me. Dennis Smith Jr. definitely deserves a chance. Who y'all want to talk about next? This is the fun part. We in a stretch run. We talk Knicks for about 25 minutes. I'm not saying I gotta get off at 7:30. I'm just saying I try to keep these things within a half an hour because people ain't gonna view it on YouTube after the fact if it's longer than 30 minutes. Yeah, Dennis Smith Jr., he got to come into camp in shape. He's got to come into camp in shape. So, big trade in the NBA today. Mike Conley, Mike Conley gets traded from Memphis to the Utah Jazz. I love it. I love that move for Utah. I absolutely love that move for Utah. I think Mike Conley is a superior upgrade to Ricky Rubio. Um, Conley plays defense. Conley can get into the paint. He can find guys in traffic. He can shoot from wherever. I've been a Mike Conley fan for a long time. The biggest knock on Mike Conley is the injuries. I just want to bring up the trade here and get the exact name. So Memphis Grizzlies trading guard Mike Conley to the Jazz for Grayson Allen, Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder, the number 23 pick in the 2019 draft, and a future first round pick. I say that's a good move for both teams. Utah is a playoff team right now. Ricky Rubio can't shoot the basketball. So let's talk about the effect that this is going to have on Donovan Mitchell and Derek Favors and anybody else that can score or shoot the basketball in Utah. You didn't have to guard Rubio on the perimeter. He's crafty. He can do a lot of good things, but he's no Mike Conley. Mike Conley pull up for the two-pointer, the three in your face, you name it. The mid-range shot, the elbow, is nowhere where he has weakness at. The key with him is can he stay healthy? But if you got a guy like that can shoot from anywhere on the floor, what does that mean for Spider? It's gonna open up the floor, space. Y'all seen Donovan Mitchell play. Donovan Mitchell barely needs space to do what he does. Now you're gonna give him the type of space Mike Conley can offer? And let's talk about it. If Mike Conley played in the Eastern Conference throughout his career, he would have had a couple All-Stars. The only reason he's not an All-Star is because he played in the Western Conference. I think he's an all-star type of talent that's never made an all-star team. Memphis was a favorite team of mine for many years. My second team. I always pick a second team, and Memphis was it for a little while. So Kyla says Utah struggles to score 90 points. That's a good move. Great point. Great point. Great point. Um, Conley's going to give you 16, 17 points a game, possibly. Rubio gave you what? 12, 13, 14. You know what? It's not even about the scoring average. It's really not about the scoring average because anybody that remembers when Larry Johnson played for the Knicks and that year they went to the finals. I had to throw the L up, y'all, on YouTube real quick. That year they went to the finals. Larry Johnson averaged like 10, 11 points per game. And it was the most important 10 points per game I've ever seen because he was the go-to guy to initiate the offense from the post. So because of what he could do in the post, he helped initiate the offense out the post, and it was extremely important to that team, though he only averaged 10 points a game. So my point about Mike Conley is it's not about his scoring average compared to Rubio's, though I would bet he's averaged more points per game than Rubio last season, but it's how he can get the points. We know Rubio cannot shoot. Mike Conley don't have that issue. Ri Hachimura. HBK Fargo asked me, how do you feel Ri Hachimura will play in the NBA? So here we go. Here's a guy we could talk about outside of the top 5 guys. I like I like Ri a lot. I'm gonna just say Ri. I think I'm saying his name right. Um, this is the kid, the power forward from Gonzaga. He can probably play some small forward. He can play some power forward. He can rebound the basketball. The biggest questions for him are gonna be, in my opinion, in Gonzaga. They play a zone defense. Gonzaga does a great job of hiding the bad defenders on their team. So we don't know what type of defender he is yet, and we will see on the NBA level. A lot of guys coming out of college are not good defenders, but it's a chance that he could be a way worse defender. Um, the other thing I think he has to prove is that he'll be able to knock down that NBA three as a stretch four, but he can do it all. He's tough, hard nosed player. Um, Anybody that comes from another country and has to learn the language and play a sport while learning the language and adapting to teammates, uh, I think there's a little more toughness there. I think there's a little more edge there because you don't understand his struggle on what he had to go through. So I think he'll be a solid NBA player. I think he may fall outside of the lottery. If he gets picked up in the lottery, it's probably like 13 or 14. He could very well move up higher. I think he should be a lottery pick personally. Um, I know some people had some mock drafts had him going to Indiana at I think 18. I'm going off the top of my head, so excuse me on the numbers, but I think Indiana has the 18th pick in the draft. That could be a nice team. He could be a nice complement to Oladipo. So yeah, it remains to be seen. I think Hachimura will look good in the NBA. So y'all, we got to talk some Knicks. We talked about the trade of the day. Oh, wait a minute. We got to talk about Al Horford a little bit here. So what's up with Boston? Al Horford, 3-year deal on the table, 33 years old. And he said, I'm breaking off negotiations. The people around the league on the rumor mill feel like he has a promise somewhere. Now, who's giving a 33-year-old player a 4-year deal? Now, Al Horford is a heck of a glue guy. And I would think at 33 years old, the way he plays the game, you're going to get 2 solid years out of him. So I would think it would be a contender, but the word is, according to the Real GM wiretap, word is that the Mavericks are favorite to sign him, and that one seems a little weird to me. I don't know if my man Thorough Essex is in here, but he's a big Mavericks fan. One thing I like about my group here is that I got genuine fans of these other teams. So they definitely help me with the insight because they watch these teams every game. Like I watch the Knicks every game all season, and it definitely helps to get that insight from someone who's feet on the ground in the state watching that team. So why would the Dallas Mavericks want to sign Al Horford to a 4-year deal right now when they're trying to work out their deal for Kristaps Porzingis? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But Boston, Kyrie is looking like he's gonna walk for nothing. Al Horford is looking like he's gonna walk for nothing. Excuse me. Yeah, Boston you got Gordon Hayward's under contract. You hope he can regain some of his elite form. Marcus Morris, you're gonna have to pay these young guys, maybe overpay. I know Boston's talking about trading maybe for Clint Capella. So that could be a nice move. Bring Clint Capella to the East Coast. But you lose Kyrie, you lose Al Horford, you bring in Clint Capella. Who you replacing Kyrie with? Terry Rozier? Yeah, I don't know. But this is Danny Ainge we talking about, people. So Danny Ainge, he might have another move up his sleeve. One thing with these GMs, there's a plan A, plan B, plan C. And even if their plan C is way risky and it's a hell of a roll of the dice, most of them will do it anyway. And Danny Ainge, for everything that Boston has done well, he gets to take a risk finally. So, we'll see what happens there. But anything else we want to talk about pre-draft? We talked about the Knicks. We talked about RJ Barrett. Oh, I got here's something else. Kenny Smith was talking about there's an article in the Daily News where Kenny Smith was talking about the ability to sell the system you use. And he admitted he did not watch the Knicks more than 4 times last season because his job is to watch the teams that are likely to make the playoffs, which makes sense. And he said it's going to be hard for the Knicks to sell their system if they didn't create that last season. Now, anybody that watched the Knicks last year, you know, it's hard to say there's a system in place. So it will be interesting If they do get a meeting with any major free agents and they are rejected, it will be interesting to see how much that plays a part. I will say this, and I'm gonna leave on this note because we had 35 minutes, so I'm 5 minutes over. Fizdale and Mr. Live. This is from Mr. Live directly. I will shamelessly quote people. Mr. Live said Fizdale has to get with the X's and O's this season. Fizdale was a great manager of young men last season. No doubt about it. He was a great manager of young men, personalities. If you watched the Knicks last year, the Knicks did not quit. They did not. There's maybe 2 or 3 games where it was just like, oh, okay, maybe they are just mentally too spent. I don't want to say they quit, but there was 2 or 3 games out of all 82 where they looked spent. But for the most part, the Knicks played hard for Fizdale. So that told me a lot about him and him keeping guys motivated and interested. And even after half the team was traded at the midway point, the new guys came in and the same thing happened. So, but this year, obviously we expect to see a continuation of that, but I will love to see the X's and O's. The Knicks absolutely have to implement a system this year. I don't care who the players are. I don't care if the players are not capable of implementing the system or executing. Excuse me. The coach implements, the players execute. The players can't execute. It's okay. We're a young team, but we have to have an identity. We have to. And Mitch Robinson can go a long way in helping with that. Clearly, the Knicks want to shoot a lot of 3 pointers. I did get that from them last season. But other than that, there was no system. You know, Collis says even Brooklyn has a system. Absolutely. When the Brooklyn Nets, and this is what Kenny Smith was saying, aside from all the other reasons we talk about the Knicks and the Nets and why one is better than the other. Well, we know the Nets are a playoff team, so that's one. The other thing is the Nets have a system. They have something where they can show a guy like, I mean, they're not getting Kawhi Leonard, right? But let's say they do get a meeting with Kawhi. They can show him how he fits into what they do and why that would take them to the next level to be a dangerous playoff team, or maybe say, Kawhi, you could take us over the top to the finals. I'm just using that example to show why it's important to have a system. When Kawhi Leonard comes to the Knicks and sits down with the Knicks, Fizdale will have to show him what he tried to implement because the Knicks don't have an identity. So that's something to consider for sure. Yeah, the triangle. The triangle is our system. HBK Fargo got a question for me. Yo, long as the questions keep coming, I won't shut it down. So if I get a new question, I'll keep going. I like Lonzo on the Pelicans. Excuse me. I'm not. When I say I'm a fan of Lonzo Ball, I think he could play. As a rookie, he averaged 10, 7, and 7, and a bunch of people told me he was a bum. Last year, people said he's not going to be able to play with LeBron, and I could argue he was the best, maybe aside from Kuzma, if you want to argue that, but he might have been the best Laker to complement LeBron. And when they were balling, it was a big part of LeBron being healthy and how Lonzo Ball was playing off of LeBron. So I like the youth movement out there with the Pelicans. They got a bunch of young guys. I know they're trying to make some moves, so that roster is not it's still in transition. But I like the idea of a guy like Lonzo Ball, a pass first guy, and then he's going to be next to Drew Holiday, who is a combo guard, the ultimate combo guard, if you ask me. Jimmy Butler is the ultimate combo guard when he's on his game. But anyway, I like Lonzo setting these guys up. He already has a rapport with Ingram and Hart. And for Zion, anytime you have a guy that's going to look for you, like Lonzo is so selfless with the basketball. So I like him in a situation where there are guys to get the ball to all around him. And I think you'll see an improvement. Hopefully he can work on that shot. Got to work on that shot. Him, Ben Simmons, a lot of these young guys, they got to work on that shot. Today's NBA, you got to be able to shoot. Got to be able to shoot, or defenses are going to pack it in against you. Yo, Al, what's going on? Silas says, how do you feel about Julius Randle as a low-cost free agent. So we spoke about that briefly earlier. John Randle averaged almost 22 points per game, almost 9 rebounds, shot, I believe, upwards of 45% from the field. He can knock down the three. He can dribble. He can go off the dribble. He can finish with explosion or finesse. And he's what, 24 years old, like super young. Why wouldn't you want a young guy like that? Especially now, they say on defense, he's like a New York City turnstile. Well, New York City turnstiles, you have to pay for. You try to walk through a New York City turnstile, you're going to get stopped and you might even hurt yourself. So we can't even say like a New York City turnstile, but he's like one of them amusement park turnstiles. So, point is, if he's not a good defender, you put him next to Mitchell Robinson. Mitch Robinson is working on his offense. Randall works on his defense. They're a great complement to each other. The Knicks do not have a power forward. It all depends on how much. You know, do you have to give him a 4-year deal? If it's a 4-year deal and it's not max money and he wants the years, okay. Maybe something shorter than that. So he wants to prove himself a little bit. He wants to re-enter free agency in another year or two. I don't know. Maybe a situation like that. The Knicks are not a bad place to come to on a 1-year deal. I can see the Knicks doing a lot of 1-year deals this year as well to guys that want to make a name for themselves, because we see Fizdale's going to give you the green light. The Knicks are an excellent team to be on if you're a young guy trying to make a name for yourself and and wanting to show people that you can do a lot of different things. So Fizdale is is real good at that. And I would love to see how that all plays out. Not too many not too many defenders in the league. This is true. Most of the league can't defend. This is College referring to me talking about John Randall's defense. Not a lot of defenders, and these guys are young. Here's the thing, and I said this in the beginning, and when these guys are young, I don't want to hear about what they can't do. It's about the ceiling. It's about the upside. Excuse me. John Randall had his career year playing next to Anthony Davis last season. And he was playing well before they started taking Anthony Davis out the lineup, before they started playing him less minutes and all that stuff. He was a compliment and he played well. So I like John Randall, but I got a counter move for you there. How about Marcus or Markieff Morris? Especially, I like they can both flat out play basketball. They can play the 3 and the 4. They play defense. And Marcus is even a young veteran that can teach guys what it takes to be successful in the playoffs. So obviously he's had that experience. So I'm not against that either. What do we got here? Collis says, to me, a two-way player shouldn't be a term. That's how offense heavy the league is now. Fair enough. Well, I wouldn't say it shouldn't be a term, but I understand what you're saying. I get it. The league is an offensive league. The reason I agree with the term, just for the sake of conversation, it highlights the guys that are those players. Why not get a shout out? I don't think guys that play defense get enough shine. So if being called a two-way player brings um visuals to your overall game, the defensive side of your game, I'm cool with that. HBK Fargo, how do you feel about OKC possibly making cap space, giving up Robertson and Adams? Bye, bye, bye. Look, HBK Fargo, OKC fan. Like I said, my people's here. They fans are different people, so we talk that talk. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I would absolutely clear up cap space to get rid of Roberson, non-shooting so and so. I'm trying not to curse here. And Adams, it's over. It's over for Adams. You know when I knew it was over for Adams? Cantor was never able to get the best of him. Cantor was giving him work in the playoffs this year. And when he couldn't do nothing with Cantor, I was like, yeah, it's over for Adams. It's over for him. So yeah, OKC should absolutely try to get more athletic on that front line. You got PG, you got Grant. I would definitely try to upgrade that center spot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what kind of money they can free up. I don't know how their salary cap situation is at the moment. I would assume paying Russell and paying PG that, they're a little capped out. And HBK Fargo, they also included Schroeder on that list too. So after one season, at the moment, Schroeder may be available for the right deal as well. So, that let's see what happens there. Brother Oba, peace, 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 peace. Thank you for joining us. Silas says, not sure Morris. Wait, what was that? Not sure Morris wants to go to a rebuilding situation. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. But this is speculation night, pre-draft speculation night. So everybody's in play. But yeah. But which one? You think neither one of them would want to go to a rebuilding situation? Because remember, when you're the man in the rebuilding situation, that could sway you a little differently. Now, the other side of that is Marcus Morris. Al Horford is leaving Boston. Kyrie's likely leaving Boston. He can be one of the dudes in Boston next to Tatum. He may not want to leave. In Detroit situation with and Markieff is in Detroit, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Markieff Morris is in Detroit. He's got Blake Griffin on the front line. He's got Andre Drummond. So yeah, he's got the small forward. Reggie Jackson. Yeah, maybe he's good there too. But I wouldn't mind either one of them on the Knicks. I'll tell you that. Okay, you're talking about both of them. I agree. They probably wouldn't want to leave Detroit or Boston. But once again, Danny Ainge is not to be trusted. These guys know Danny Ainge would trade him away. So the Knicks situation, you're a little less likely